Well, I guess the point is that you really, we can't. Our eyes really are deceiving us. We have to learn to develop other ways of sensing what's going on, other than just what we see, because what we see is really quite deceptive. And so, but galut, and especially our galut, it plays. Everything is marketing. Everything is advertising. Everything is constantly lying to us. You need this. You need that. You must do this. You be a better. You'll be a better tennis player if you get this type of racket. You'll be a better guitarist if you buy this type of guitar. All of it is constantly a barrage, lying to you. You know. Whereas what you really need and what you really need to do is much more expansive than that. There you have much more opportunities than just what's being presented to you. And so we were talking about it a little bit yesterday. That's when we say the Shema. We cover our eyes. It's not because we're saying the world is bad. It's because we're saying we want to connect. We want to be able to really see those possibilities that by keeping our eyes open, we're limiting ourselves to. Right. So by closing our eyes and we say the Shema, what we're saying, we're opening up to all to the yam, to the expanse of possibilities that God really knows. Right. Hashem Elokeichem Emet. God is truth. So God really has, so to speak, is the one who can do anything. So we open up, we close our eyes, and we're opening up to all the possibilities and closing ourselves off to the limited nature of our perception. And opening ourselves up to a much deeper and higher level of perception. And so that's the kind of the antidote for Mitzrayim, is the not looking, right? And so again, the reason Yaakov Avinu, we said it before, is able to have the great vision, even when he was sleeping, was because he'd been preparing for it. The rabbis, he'd been learning for 14 years straight, whatever that means. He'd been learning so constantly and so intensely that when he finally had no choice but to encounter the physical world, he saw this incredible depth of spirituality, because that's what's actually there. Right? So we go out in the world and we see whatever we see. We see whatever our life is presenting to us, and sometimes it's real and sometimes it's not. But it's not necessarily. It's not really what's there. There's a depth of spirituality and a depth of something of thought and feeling that is underneath everything, and so our connection, our learning, our keeping Torah, our keeping mitzvot should open us up to that, and specifically, like I said, between ben adam l'chavero, really, I mean, again, so if I'm constantly thinking about what, again, in modern society, more than I think any other time in human history, we're constantly told about what each one of us, I need this, I need this, and then we tend to go about trying to fulfill those needs. But and it's not necessarily bad, but the problem is that what happens is then we never see, again, because we're focused on these very, very limited opportunities, we miss the opportunities between us and other people. We miss the seeing what does someone else need. And again, so this comes back to this whole conception of being connected to the infinite. So when we open up to God, who's infinite, so then we see, I have everything I need. Well, if I have everything I need, so then, what can I do for you? You must need something. How can I help you? So then it opens up this kind of takes off the blinders, and we're able to see this great expanse of opportunity, of hopefully what we can do for others. So, and in terms of again, like looking at Jews, and there's a famous story, I just saw it recently. Someone came to the Lubavitcher Rebbe and they said, I'm going into Keruv and I want your advice. And the Rebbe said, like, he was very upset. He said, "What do you mean Keruv? He said, you're going to make people closer?" He says, "How do you know who's close and who's not?" What? Yeah, right. How do you know who's close? Right? I think that's the story. Right? How do you know? Like all Jews are close. Like if you're going to go out and your intention should be to make people closer. You don't know, and says your intention should be to help people, to fulfill the Ahavta Kamocha, to be a good friend to people. That's a good thing to do, And so I think that's the kind of That's a really nice way of looking at it. That we really don't know. And you're right. It could be, to our eyes, someone their whole life seems like they do everything wrong, and in the end of things, actually, maybe they really did what they were supposed to. Who knows? On the opposite also. I mean, actually, the Shlomo Rebbe writes an amazing thing. He says, he said, if a person they learned their whole life, they sat and they learned every day, 23 hours, and they did every mitzvah, and they were mamish, like perfect, but they never related to themselves. They never fixed anything about themselves. So he says, the Shlomo Rebbe in Nativot Shalom says, they'll get back to the other world, and the angels will say to them, like, it was a waste of time, no? You can sit here and learn too. The point of being here is not necessarily isolating yourself. The point of being here is, although that can be part of it, it's not. But that's not it. The point is, you need to fix yourself. You need to relate to yourself. What are my issues? What are the things I need to work on? What's going on deeper inside my life? How can I become closer? I mean, it's one thing to try to draw someone else closer, but the real point again is yourself, ourselves, and so again, it's the relating to this internal, this taking the internal and fixing it, and that's the real point of why we're here, and that's not always a simple. It's never something easily attainable. And hey, good morning. How are you? Oh, it's all right. We're just getting warmed up here. No, we're good. So that's again. This is this concept of the Zohar. The Zohar actually calls this concept the concept of life. That we're discussing here. Vayechi and Vachai, these two, Moshe Rabbeinu and Yaakov Avinu, as a secret. V'raza da hilo yirani ha'adam v'chai. Again, it's this concept of the Shema. V'lo yirani ha'adam v'chai. We close our eyes off, right? So by the closing off, I think Rabbi Nachman also says that the concept of the kind of closing our eyes is because we're actually striving to see even greater length, right? He says, like when you're squinting, it's a very nice Torah. Rabbi Nachman says, when you're squinting, you strain your eyes, and so he says that the greatest squinting, so to speak, is when we say the Shema, we cover our eyes, because we're straining to see something far beyond what we think is life. And so really, we have this uvetu machadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh b'shivah. We say God renews the creation every day in His goodness, and in the renewal of the creation is God's goodness, right? So it's both. So we have a conception of what life is, and then we go about and we live our lives. And I think the concept here is that what we're supposed to be doing is our learning and our davening and our doing mitzvot is supposed to renew that. It's supposed to get kind of a new take on life every day. Really, the Kushat Levi, one of my favorite Maimarim from Kushat Levi is that every day there's a new light, he says, coming down, brand new light coming down from Shemayim to this world, from the spiritual world to here. It's never been before. And what a privilege to be alive to experience this light, right? And so the concept is that, again, when we sometimes get to it, we get attached to what we think is life, and so we're lucky we have the Shema. Again, we close our eyes and we say V'lo yirani ha'adam v'chai, right? We follow Moshe Rabbeinu. Like, no, that's not really life. What's life really about? I don't really know. It can't be just about that. There must be more to it. And so we close our eyes, and by closing our eyes and saying, I don't know what life's about, so then now we're opened up to whatever is the next thing we're supposed to be learning, right? And it's that constant, but it's that constantly, and in terms of that type of learning, that never ends. The type of learning, what is life all about, is something that never ends. In this world, we have choices. We can make choices between this and that. We can follow causality. Choices are just following a causal chain. That's what choices are. And so you do one thing and it leads to another and it leads to another and it goes here and it goes here and it goes here, whatever. So that I think only exists here. We only have free will in this world. But learning, understanding new ideas, that goes on forever, really. And so when we say Vayechi Yaakov Avinu, I mean, at the time of when he leaves the world, he has this incredible vision, of the Jewish people from his point in history all the way to the end of history, in a sense, till Mashiach comes. And that was just when he's leaving the world. I mean, what did he see afterwards? He was still here when he had that vision. So if he was that alive and that connected to reality while he was here in this world, which again is kind of the world of Mitzrayim, it tries to constrict. It's the constriction of real possibilities. So Kol Shekain when he moved on to the next world. So his body was obviously no longer alive, but his consciousness, his spirit, was Vayechi. It was never died. It keeps going, keeps learning, keeps understanding. And so the concept here again. So what is life? What is real life? We know that Rishaim b'chayim kurim mesim v'tzadikim b'mitatam kurim chayim. So to speak, the negative people are called not alive even while they are alive, and the tzaddikim are called alive even when they're dead. Right? So the concept is what is life? What does it mean to be alive? What does it mean that Yaakov Avinu, so to speak, never died? What does it mean and Yaakov lived, right? And he lived specifically be'eretz Mitzrayim. So I think again, this concept of we have this tradition, and really it's a beautiful thing. It really, before Moshe Rabbeinu, we didn't have really like halachot. We didn't have a way of doing things in the world. He brought that into the world, and in every generation we renew it. We refocus on it and think, how can we do it today? How can we implement that vision today, right now? How do Shabbat, the laws of Shabbat, relate to microwave ovens or televisions or whatever modern cars or whatever's going on in the modern world? So we try to kind of relive it. So maybe the Zohar is telling us here that there's this connection between Yaakov Avinu and Moshe Rabbeinu, that it's the same vision, right? It's just that from Moshe Rabbeinu onwards, we need more tools to implement that vision, right? But it's the same vision, right? It's this vision of the ultimate fixing of mankind, really. And so when we keeping the Torah allows us access to this vision, both in terms of the ideas and also in terms of the implementation, but it allows us access to this very, very high thing, this is the infinite God, really. So maybe I just got that. Of course, that's the connection, that the tradition of Moshe Rabbeinu, which is what we follow, is the inner aspect of it is the tradition of Yaakov Avinu. And what Moshe was doing and is doing, so to speak, is allowing us access to that great vision, to that great expanse, that bli mitzarim. There's this place beyond the constrictions of our lives, and we have access to that through the Torah and through the mitzvot. And it's not just a spiritual thing. It's a spirituality that rings true because it not only connects us to God, but it therefore connects us to each other. Right? One of the ways of, I think, telling real spirituality versus false spirituality is real spirituality always has to do between people. That's what Rabbi Akiva says. The main teaching of the Torah is you should love your fellow as you love yourself. Because again, real being connected to the infinite doesn't mean, well, I'm so connected, I'm so blissed out, I'm so connected to the infinite that I don't notice anyone else. Right? It's just the opposite. I'm so connected to the infinite possibilities. I see all the opportunities to connect in the even deepest way to God, which is by connecting to another person, helping another person. Right? Again, God is not just found over there, and He's not just found here. He's both. Right? He's both at the same time, and beyond that even we don't even know. But He's definitely found within our relationships and within how we treat each other. And so when we do a mitzvah, whether ben adam l'makom, ben adam l'chavero, we're connecting to the infinite God of Yaakov Avinu, to bli mitzarim, without any limitations. And so we're able then to look beyond our own a little bit, every day maybe like a little bit more. We're able to look beyond our own limitations and see those opportunities of doing and helping both ourselves and others. And I think it's in this process. It's in this process of doing the mitzvot and learning and davening and then relating to the world where it really becomes an exciting concept. You know, if we were just kind of sequestered away, and we don't relate to the world, we don't go out, we don't do things. It's very nice, but it somehow loses its reality in a way. And if all we're doing is we're out in the world and we're not trying to connect, so it's also, it can be very nice. It's a nice world in a lot of ways, but it's not the whole picture. And so I think that's in a way maybe one of the things as the Jewish people, our challenges, the challenges for the people who are maybe not so into religion to understand that religion is a great way to connect with the infinite God. It's something unbelievable going on in our tradition. And the opposite, the people who are really religious should realize that there's really something very beautiful about the world. And that those Jews who are in touch with the world have a lot to teach us about how to relate to the world and how to be in the world. And so it's really, again, we see the Jewish people almost as this twofold thing kind of going on now, and has been for since maybe the Enlightenment. The real tikkun comes when we actually decide we're going to learn from each other, and we take each other seriously, and I think if we can somehow maybe heal this seeming rift that's come in the Jewish people, then it's a good example for the rest of the world too. We can then maybe we can start to fulfill our real mission in the world, which is to end death, bring the total unification of spiritual and physical. So. Anyway, shkoyach, we're good, thanks. Shkoyach, I believe it's fast.